And let's get into some Scream 8 news. So, um, I was over on the social medias, and it's funny because Robert sitting here sat and sent me some Scream 8 news. And you want to know something? At the time that he sent it to me, I was in the middle of writing this article, which I thought is quite hilarious. That I'm like, well, the universe just works out in in strange ways. But yeah, I was in the middle of writing this article when he started filling me in on when he started sending me some Scream 8 stuff. So we are 9 months away from the highly anticipated Scream 7 slicing and dicing its way into theaters, and rumors are swirling that there is an eighth installment already in the works that will be centered yet again around franchise final girl Sidney Prescott. Now, before Scream 7 even wrapped, there were rumors circulating that the upcoming horror film would end on a cliffhanger and would be setting up a possible trilogy, a la, Halloween 2018, and then, of course, The Strangers, which they have that one, but The Strangers, did not get kick off at a great start. Like, I know a lot of people did not like the first Strangers reboot movie, whatever the hell you want to call it. They just thought like the characters were making dumb decisions. It was just not a good movie. And then people are still, I guess, what's going on with the second one? We saw that little trailer, whatever. It was cute, but it still did not get me all excited about the Strangers franchise. So I think they put the cart before the horse in regards to that. Halloween 2018 started off great. Halloween 2018, then we had Halloween Kills, and then y'all, I don't know what the hell that was with Halloween Ends, but as I've said many a times, I enjoy Halloween Ends as a separate Halloween film, not as part of the trilogy, because it just felt like it was just shoehorned in. It just didn't fit with whatever David Gordon Green was going with, or I think maybe he ran out of ideas before he got to Ends, but then he already signed on the dotted line that I need to come up with a trilogy, so he just fed us a bill of goods. So now, according to industry scooper Daniel RPK, who we reference a lot on this show, Scream 8 has immediately greenlit a new film, or I should say Scream 8 was immediately greenlit because Paramount and Spyglass are happy with everything regarding the seventh installment. There's also word that not only do they want Kevin Williamson back to direct, but they also want him to write the script. Now, if all goes to plan, Scream 8 could start shooting this summer. For those of you who are also unaware, Williamson wrote the original Scream script as well as Scream 2 and Scream 4, while Scream 7 was written by Guy Busick from a story by James Vanderbilt and Busick. I'm sure Kevin had some uncredited input on the new script because, to be honest, I thought while Scream 5 and 6 did have some cool standout moments, the script for those films, which were written by Vanderbilt and Busick, weren't strong enough for my horror connoisseur tastes. So, excuse me, I also didn't like the way the legacy characters such as Sidney, Dewey, and Gale were treated once Radio Silence took over the franchise, because I just felt, that they just tossed the icons to the side to make room for their new characters, including the core four. Now, speaking of the core four, rumors are also swirling that the core four story will be addressed, kind of like how they addressed Sidney in, what was it, Scream 7? Or it was like, oh, she finally got a happy ending. Well, it looked like, based off of these rumors, that it will be Sidney focused or Sidney centered. Her happy ending will be short lived. But they basically said that this Carpenter, allegedly, the rumor is that the Carpenter sisters will be killed off in a plane crash and that the Meeks Martin twins will be brutally killed off, which I'm hoping is not true, because as many times as Chad been stabbed up, y'all really gonna try to end him in it? But then again, they did the same damn thing to Dewey. So, and the rumor is that this is a way for them to be like, oh yeah, for y'all going off and killing off Dewey after all those years of plot armor, you go and kill a beloved character. So now we got to go and start cleaning house with these other actors, which I'm hoping is not true, because the rumor is that Chad works for Gale. I don't know if Mindy works for Gale as well, but if they're gonna go, I don't think that they should kill them off, because they're not tied to what the world that Kevin Williamson created and the other Scream, legacy characters. They're, at this point, they are legacy characters, because this is the third film that they're appearing in that's part of the Scream franchise. So I hope they don't kill them all, because as they are family. They're part of Randy's, family. They're his niece and nephew. So I really hope that they're not going to go in and kill them off. You can kill all these other characters, or have them have a really cool chase scene and them get hemmed up a little bit or whatever. But to kill them off after all this time, I don't like that. But then again, like people say, y'all did the same thing to Dewey after all them years of plot armor, so why not, right? Turnabout's a fair game. So Um, so once, they get the course correction out of the way, the films will be focusing on Sydney and her family because, I'm sure they've got to address a lot of the stuff that was going on regarding. I don't think they're going to address the Melissa Barrera Gaza stuff. They don't need to address that, but you do have to address their characters. What's happening with them? Why is it that, okay, we got the Meeks Martin twins to show up in this film, but you couldn't get the Carpenter sisters to show up in this film? So there has to be, and you have to address it, similar to how they had to address Sidney not being in Scream 6. So while I'm happy that we're getting an eighth film, I don't know if I like the idea of them shooting the next film so early because the rumor is they're going to be shooting it this summer, as I stated earlier. Because, and we also have no idea who survives and who dies in the seventh film. So, um, another thing I've always said too is that I love the Scream films because it's a slasher equivalent of Scooby-Doo. So I love the idea of me going in completely blind, not knowing. I mean, we know what the plot is or whatever the case is, that's fine. We see a couple of cool shots of people getting chased around and Ghostface being brutal, whatever the case is, that's cool. But I don't want to know too much, which is why I always go opening weekend, so that way I can just go in and put on my Agatha Christie glasses. my sleuth gets the sleuthing, and I can basically go in and try to figure out who the keeper or ers is without it being spoiled on social media. So that's what I love about the Scream franchise. So what I'm hoping is that if this rumor turns out to be true, that Scream 8 is shooting this summer, they're going to have it shooting back to back. Because remember, they wrapped it in February, I think. They wrapped it around, yeah, I think about February, March-ish. So they wrapped it. I will go with February. So I believe so. They wrapped a couple months ago. It is. I'm sure it's not going to take long for them to edit a horror film because I don't think it's going to be like 2 hours. Or well, actually, Scream movies usually do clock in around the 2 hour mark, so I could definitely see it being that long. But with them doing all the post production, all the stuff, I really feel like they could move the movie. And I've said this before, they should move the movie to October of this year. And then when they film Scream 7, I mean Scream 7, Scream 8, they can film Scream 8 this summer. They can release Scream 8 next year, and it'll coincide with the 30th anniversary of the original movie because the original Scream came out in 1996. So next year would mark the 30th anniversary. You can have both those movies come out so close together, back to back. And I don't even think y'all have to release it in the February mark. You can move it like maybe March or April or something like that, or maybe a year. So it's like you have it a year apart. So you have that next film come out October of 2026. So that way you give people enough time to see it in the theater. Then you can do the VOD and all that other stuff. So I'm hoping that's the direction they go into. I also know that people love complaining about Nev appearing in most of the films. That, it's time to branch out and tell the stories. How many times they're gonna, beat the dead horse of Sidney Prescott to death? Like, how are you gonna keep doing that over and over? And so I'm like, as long as there's a story there, as long as you have a story to tell, I'm here for it. If there's a way that you can incorporate Sidney and those friends in the story, why not? I mean, I think over the years we're so used to slasher films having a new final girl and that sort of thing, and that's cool when they did it with Friday the 13th and so many other franchises. But if this is a story that, I mean, a franchise that's always kind of in a way been centered around Sidney Prescott and her life, because the comic does, it's like a life imitating art, imitating life type of franchise. It's not like any other slasher movie franchise. So I hate that people kind of continue to compare it to that, to other movies. But Scream it's an anomaly in so many different ways. You have new killers every movie, which I know some people don't like that. But it's like after a while, who wants to keep seeing? Well, I was gonna say who wants to keep seeing Jason. But if you're a Friday the 13th fan, you do want to keep seeing Jason on the big screen hacking people to death, or Michael Myers and that sort of thing. So I take that back because I am one of those fans that it's like, I love my Michael Myers and I love my Jason. I like seeing them cutting people, the Carnage candy and all that other stuff. So, but Scream is, as I said, it's an anomaly. It's something different. And if there's a story to tell with Sidney, then I'm here for it. So I don't feel no ways tired about it. I'm hoping that these rumors about this is true, except for I don't want them to kill off the Meeks Martin kids. But I am here for what's to come. And also, in case y'all were wondering, if y'all need a movie to watch, especially with Mason Gooding, just want to let y'all know Heart Eyes is available on Netflix. So if you got Netflix, you could definitely watch that movie if you haven't seen it already. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this news surrounding the rumors regarding Scream 8 that, according to Daniel RPK, it's going to be another Sidney-centered story. So this film, the seventh one, is supposed to be centered around Sidney, and Scream 8 is also supposed to be centered around Sidney because the rumors is it's supposed to be a part of a trilogy. So, well, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.